I haven't been posting a lot of videos lately, but it's been super busy. I'm almost caught up to where I'll be able to start posting more often now. Seems like it's motor gasket week though. The Sportster came in and had a problem shifting, and I found out that this closed-end needle bearing here that goes on into the shift drum, or the whatever you want to call it, was completely out of the case. It did not exist. So we're going to put that back in, reset everything, reset the shifting mechanism, and then do all the base gaskets, head gaskets, and rocker box gaskets. I didn't have a chance to finish the Sportster video yesterday, so we're going to do it today. Had to leave the shop. So this transmission had really weird binding, mainly on this shift fork here in the center, and I thought that it was from being so cockeyed, but that wasn't the problem. The issue was it did run off-centered because this bearing was missing here for the shift drum. But what it did is it actually burred into the forks. All of them had small burrs in them, and it was binding the whole thing. I mean, you can see how easy it shifts now. But what I had to do, and most people aren't going to like this, but at the end of the day, the Sportster's like a, I don't know, $1,500 motorcycle, and if this guy goes out and buys all new shift forks and a new drum, he would have been, I don't know, $1,500 into it, so it wouldn't have been worth it. So what I did is I pulled everything apart and I just ball honed the shift forks so I get a smooth surface again. Then I threw the actual drum on the lathe and cleaned it up with some sandpaper until I got it real smooth again. But you can see the action now, it's real easy. Like I said, a lot of people are going to hate on that and, you know, say, oh, why didn't you replace it? But sometimes new parts on something like this just aren't worth it. This guy just wants it to run and keep them on the road, and that'll do it. You don't have to replace everything. You can fix some stuff. So now I'm going to get this set back on, the little tensioner, and we'll put it back in the bike.
White crosses on the church lawn. I wanna smash them all. I wanna smash them all. I wanna smash them all.
So now we're in the inner primary here. You can see how smooth everything shifts. Has no tension, it moves free now. So I'm going to get it into gear. Again. And right there. And now we're going to set the shifter paw. So you get your little number 32 drill bit. This one's the closest I have. It's like 1/1000th off, but so you set this between the roll pin and the actual shift arm, and then you're going to tighten it down.
Looking for revolution. I have the style, I have the ambition. Read all the authors, I knew the right slogans. There was the war, bought the class war. I was ready to set the world on fire. I was a teenage anarchist, looking for revolution.
Alright, we're now on the home stretch. Primary's on with the new gasket, or the outer primary. Just got to put the clutch puller assembly back in, and the foot peg, and start working on the motor.
When you were young and you wanted to set the world on fire, I was a teenage anarchist, but the politics are too convenient. In the depths of their humanity, all I saw was bloodless ideology, and with freedom as a doctrine, guess who was the new authority? I was a teenage anarchist.
Primary's all back together. Trans shift's super smooth now. So we got to do base gaskets on this too. See, you can't really see it on the cameras. Whoever did it before just silicone the living crap out of these. Let me see if I can get some to fall off. No, but yeah, so we'll start disassembling. I'm gonna clean up first, got a mess again, and then start doing these base gaskets. Alright, we got it all torn down. Now it's time to get into the motor. Gas tank's off, front motor mount's off, other side motor mount's off over here. The wiring's a mess on this bike, but we're not doing that today, we're just doing leaks. So first thing we're going to start with is pulling the rocker boxes and work our way down. Just made it into the motor, got everything pulled apart. Now since it's open, you can kind of see how much gasket sealer that the shop that did this before used. I mean, this is just tons of it. Really, with a good gasket kit, that's totally unneeded. I mean, unless you have like shovel head rocker boxes that have pitting in them or something, you know, these Evos don't usually leak. If they leak, change the gasket, it's good to go. If you got older stuff, then, you know, things get funny a little bit. But, yeah, so everything's apart. I got the barrel sitting over there right now. I'm gonna go inspect those, make sure there's no big scoring or anything. And then get a razor blade, we'll clean up all the surfaces. And like you saw in my other video, I do this on all the push rod tubes. This little box, keep them organized, you don't lose them or get them out of place. But yeah, so now we're going to start scraping the surfaces, check the rods real quick, make sure they're tight still, and get ready for reassembly.
Associate with vulnerability, I am numbing myself completely. Can you hear me right now? I watched your mother bury you today with tears in her eyes. Oh, it wasn't her words that shook me, but the resemblance you share.
Camera shut off there, but I got the cylinder heads nice and clean now, scraped everything perfect, scraped the bottom gasket surfaces down there for the base gasket. That's something I usually take a lot of time on. I think it just spent probably 30 or 40 minutes scraping everything super clean. I don't know, to me it's just, if it leaks and I have to fix it, I'd rather just take my time on it this time and get it perfectly clean and, you know, make it right. Here's the rockers and heads, I'll clean those up in a minute. I just scraped the gasket on those, but I gotta clean those still. But barrels are ready to go back on. And then while I have this off, I'll show you real quick what I checked for on the flywheels, if I can hold the camera straight. So typically speaking, side to side play, like this is, that's fine, that's still tight. But I don't worry about that. What I worry about is up and down play. Oh, it's so hard to hold this and do with the camera. So if you get it like here, if you pull up, you can see they're tight. If you feel one of these is loose, like up and down wiggle room, then that is not good, and that is something you need to fix right then. Unless the guy just wants to run his motor until it blows up in, you know, 1,000 miles. But yeah, so it's time to reassemble. I already got, oh, also when you do the cylinders, once you're done cleaning them, make sure you go through and blow through any of the oil passages, just to make sure. So I'll do the same with the rockers and everything else. Any passages, make sure they're clean and double check them.
Numbing myself completely. Can you hear me right now? I watched your mother bury you today with tears in her eyes. Oh, it wasn't her words that shook me, but the resemblance you shared. Oh, it wasn't her words that shook me, but the resemblance you shared. Can you hear me right now? Can you hear me right now? We were young heartbreakers, estranged from our wealthy parents, doing key bumps in a handicapped bathroom.
Alright, so that's it for the Sportster motor rebuild, or the gaskets at least. Got a massive mess again, like I do at the end of every weekend. But pulled the air cleaner off, I gotta go through the carb real quick. But all the gaskets are good to go. Make sure that you torque everything. Motor-wise, it's a big deal. Anything else, you know, do it by hand feel. But all the motor stuff, head bolts, rocker bolts, everything, just make sure you torque them to spec. Doesn't take that much more time and it's worth it at the end of the day. But yeah, that's the motor gaskets. So come back in the morning, I'll start this thing up after I do the carb and give it a little ride and it can go on its way.